Oxygen levels
are at maximum, Captain.
set a course to dark waters now. It looks like we have some weird anomalies happening in a foreign river. Let's take a closer look.
Lakas. Ano kaya yan, no? Hala? Hala, tignan mo. Grabe. Ano nangyari? Ayan, no? Ano yan? Grabe. Hala. Bukal? Ipo ba? Ipo ba sa tubig?
This is definitely strange. The only thing that comes to mind is like a natural spring erupting or something.
There were giants in the earth in those days, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. Now you might think this is an AI image, but wait 1 minute before I get to that, because why would the Bible talk about giants being in the earth in those days? And not just in Genesis, but Numbers, and then we saw giants, the son of Anak, which came of the giants, and we were in their own sight as grasshoppers. And it doesn't just stop there. There are 30 more verses about giants, and there's lots of evidence of not just somewhat big giants, but monstrous giants. You really think a normal-sized man swung that? How about that one? What about this one? I don't think so. But yeah, of course you could just say these are for decoration purposes. But when you get to one...
My question is what are giants fighting to need a sword that big? Even if it is, let's just say it is real. What are the giants fighting that's that big? You're gonna need to make a sword that big for. How big are these dragons they fighting?
like this. I don't think that was for decoration. And again, you're probably just saying, well, Tyler, that's AI. Of course they can create anything now. Oh yeah? Well, I decided to run it through an AI detector app. And guess what? It came back 1% chance it was AI and 99% a true image. And not only this one, but this one as well. A 0% chance that it was AI. And when I look at this one, I see AI. And guess what? I ran this one through, and it was. So the detector's working. And when you go online and you try to figure it out, well, guess what? There are big old fact checks saying, no, there's definitely no giant swords that are real. And they spend all this time creating all this information on how it's fake. And they literally circled things and said, look, their hands are manipulated and the bodies are different. When you look at these pictures, they're not off like they're saying they are. They're just telling you are, and people are told something and then they look at something and they say, oh yeah, look, it's off. Well, let me show you. They circled this because apparently the hand is wrong, but there's nothing wrong there. That's just a 1, 2, 3, 4 finger hand with the thumb around the corner. They're just trying to make you think it's not real, because if you knew it was real, you would know giants existed, and you would know that the Bible is telling you the truth, and not just about giants, but dragons and the shape of the ground you walk on. I mean, the evidence is all around us. Sometimes you just got to take a different perspective. Those are the Teton Mountains. Teton? What does Teton sound like to you?
Titan.
And remember, they love to rub it in your face. Kind of sounds like Titan. Now let me ask you a real question. Do you really think they'd waste their time doing a fact check for something so ridiculous as giant human skeletons being found? No, that's just altered pictures. You think, and I did this, I said, is the Easter Bunny real? Is there a fact check to tell me the Easter Bunny isn't real? There's no fact check to tell me the Easter Bunny isn't real because that's ridiculous. Why would they spend time on
What about the tooth fairy?
that? And why would they make sure to have a fact check on that? Nope, Earth isn't covered by a firmament dome. Don't worry about it, we checked. It's not there. But remember, people, this is all just for entertainment purposes. I know that's AI, even though the AI detector tells me it's not. I know there's no firmament above us, and I definitely know that no giants existed. Entertainment only.
I know it ain't the Loch Ness Monster waking up.
Now, before I begin this video is for entertainment purposes only, and this is only one wild conspiracy theory, so take it as you will. Now, I know you guys are seeing the symbol in the background, and it does look familiar, doesn't it? Now, the symbol you are seeing in the background is a sigil, and these are used in the book of black magic. Now, in a sigil like this symbol is created for a certain purpose, to give one wealth, power, and even your heart's desires. And if a lot of you didn't know this, the founder of McDonald's was a 33-degree Freemason and even had ties with satanic cults. Don't believe me? Go do the research for yourself. And I guarantee you, you're not going to like what you find. Now, this is where the story gets a little bit twisted and even a little bit more dark. And you tell me, where's all this meat coming from? Because it doesn't seem like we even have enough cows. Because they do sell billions upon billions of hamburgers within a year. And if you don't believe me, go read the statistics. And it will show you how much they sell in a day, a week, a month, and even in years. And here's the big question. Are people eating? And don't believe me, this could be happening. Check this out.
078 cannibalism might seem kind of gruesome. It kind of is. But I'm going to give you a little background of what got me to this position to run this bill. This is going to be normalized. There's only one state in the union that it is illegal. Cannibalism is illegal, and that is Idaho.
Now, can you imagine the only state that cannibalism is not allowed is Idaho? Everywhere else it can be practiced. And this is stated by these politicians. Now, here's even a short clip of a food show that they were using human meat.
All right, Chef, can you tell us the 3 secret ingredients that might be found in this amazing sausage that you made for us today?
The 3 secret ingredients that might be found in the sausage are fish liver, human flesh, or shark.
Are those really the 3 ingredients?
Yeah, fish liver, human flesh, or shark.
Chef Keith, can you tell us what is the secret ingredient in this dish?
Yes, I'm afraid you're both wrong. It is human flesh.
That's not okay. That's not all right.
You know,
It's a wonderful renewable protein.
And you heard what that chef said, renewable protein. And we wonder why we have all these millions of people that are missing. Now, I don't know about you guys, but ever since I went down this rabbit hole, I do not go to fast food restaurants. And I do not like eating any meat. And like I said in the beginning of the video, this video is for entertainment purposes only. Take this information the way you will. And do follow if you want to hear more conspiracy theories.
Someone just told me, this is King Charles, by the way. Someone just told me that there's a going theory that being around demonic activity can make some people faint. It's like an old adage or an old wives' tale. But it's happened a bunch of times, and many people are wondering what the Sam Bam is going on.
Yeah! Oh, almighty! That bitch back. Yeah! Oh, almighty! That bitch back.
You guys already know what time of the day it is. If you thought you weren't going to get another excellent specimen, think again.
We love Tanzanite.
Hey Rob, what's this rock?
We love Tanzanite. Who doesn't? And, you know, when you think about how much Tanzanite comes out of the mine now, you kind of get spoiled thinking it's common. But this is a generational stone. It will not continue producing. There will be a time when they are gone, and the mine is already over 1 kilometer in depth. So when you get big crystals, when you see these, well, I buy them. This is a huge, unrepaired Tanzanite, and it's almost 2 pounds.
Hey Rob, what's this rock?
We love Tanzanite.
Dang, a 2-pound rock. Look at the dark blue in this. If I would have had to name this specimen, I would call it the Sapphire Mitten. The Sapphire Mitten. What would you name this?
This is how the ancient Chinese believed the Earth layout to be. And I will read this from the translation from Spanish. There were two major cosmological models, the Gai-Tian model and the Huan-Tian model. The first, the Gai-Tian model, whose name means umbrella sky or sky that covers, depicted the Earth as a large, flat, and immobile expanse. Above it, the sky spread out like a curved umbrella-like blanket. In this universe, the sun and the moon and the stars revolved around us, luminous bodies located within this celestial vault. Centuries later, the Huan-Tian model, or spherical sky, emerged. Here, the Earth remained flat, but was rounded like a disk. The sky was no longer a simple blanket, but a giant sphere that surrounded the entire world. The celestial bodies floated, embedded in this sphere, moving around it like invisible gears. Both models reflected the vision of the great ancient cultures, that humanity lived at the center of the universe, protected under a vast celestial dome. For the Chinese, the world had always been flat. The universe was considered a perfect system, so they observed the heavens and made predictions based on the cosmic conception. This view persisted for over 2,000 years. Now, the crazy part about this is if the Earth is spinning so fast and flying through space so hard, and everything's moving around up there, how have the constellations stayed the same for like thousands and thousands of years? For one. Secondly, the moon has so many anomalies, it's not even funny. We only see one side of it. Like, I know there's some official formula and explanation for that, but really? And then we have about 1,000 Hollywood movies depicting Earth as being in a dome, or us being in a dome. You got The Simpsons, you got, what's that one, Mockingjay or Mockingbird, whatever it is, Hunger Games, The Truman Show, I mean, you name it. So are they hiding in plain sight something? Let me know your thoughts and comment below. Wait until you guys hear who owns the textbooks that we studied from in school. This is absolutely shocking. If every parent and teacher and principal knew this, they would be scratching their heads going, oh, the whole system is more rotten than people even know. Check this out. So here's McGraw-Hill. We all looked at all these freaking books, dry and boring, but they're owned by something called Pergamon Press. Pergamon, think of that. In the book of Revelation, Pergamon is named as Satan's throne, or specifically, because of this city's intense pagan activity, it was seen by Christians as a place of intense spiritual opposition where Satan has his throne. But I didn't tell you who named this company yet. Pergamon Press was founded by Robert Maxwell. Do you know who Robert Maxwell is? That is Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. So Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, who was a spy, named his empire Pergamon Press. Pergamon Press prints scientific books and medical journals, and it's named as Satan's throne, Pergamon. The altar of Pergamon is where human sacrifices would take place for many gods, including Zeus and Baal. Why would you name your press company Satan's throne? And why would a spy controlling America's largest Scholastic textbook company, scientific books, and medical journals, name Pergamon after Satan's throne? This is absolutely shocking. And this is where millions of children go to school and read books printed from this company. Does that sound like a coincidence, or do you think something else is going on here?
I definitely think something strange is going on. It seems like they're trying to mold us and guide us into a different direction.
It'll crystallize a bit easier. The third time, it'll crystallize a bit easier. The third time, there'll be an influence from the first and second of our. It'll crystallize a bit easier. The third time, there'll be an influence from the first and second crystals. There is, in fact, good evidence that new compounds get easier to crystallize all around the world, just as this theory would predict. It also predicts that if you train animals to learn a new trick, for example, rats learn a new trick in London, then all around the world, rats of the same breed should learn the same trick quicker just because the rats have learned it here. And surprisingly, there's already evidence that this actually happens. Anyway, that's my own hypothesis in a nutshell of morphic resonance. Everything depends on evolving habits, not on fixed laws. But I want to spend
morphing resonance.
A few moments on the constants of nature too, because these are again assumed to be constant. Things like the gravitational constant, the speed of light, are called the fundamental constants. Are they really constant? Well, when I got interested in this question, I tried to find out. They're given in physics handbooks. Handbooks of physics list the existing fundamental constants, tell you their value. But I wanted to see if they'd changed, so I got the old volumes of physical handbooks. I went to the Patent Office Library here in London, and they're the only place I could find that kept the old volumes. Normally people throw them away when the new values come out. They throw away the old ones. When I did this, I found that the speed of light dropped between 1928 and 1945 by about 20 kilometers per second. It's a huge drop because they're given with errors of any fractions of decimal points of error. And yet, all over the world, it dropped, and they were all getting values very similar to each other with tiny errors. And then in 1945, it went up, 48, it went up again. And then people started getting very similar values again. I was very intrigued by this, and I couldn't make sense of it. So I went to see the head of metrology at the National Physical Laboratory in Teddington. Metrology is the science in which people measure constants. And I asked him about this. I said, what do you make of this drop in the speed of light between 1928 and 1945? And he said, oh dear, he said, you've uncovered the most embarrassing episode in the history of our science. So I said, well, could the speed of light have actually dropped? And that would have amazing implications if so. He said, no, of course it couldn't have actually dropped. It's a constant. So, well then how do you explain the fact everyone was finding it going much slower during that period? Is it because they were fudging their results to get what they thought other people should be getting, and the whole thing was just produced in the minds of physicists? We don't like to use the word fudge. I said, well, what do you prefer? He said, well, we prefer to call it intellectual phase locking. So I said, well, if it was going on then, how can we be so sure it's not going on today? And that the present values are produced by intellectual phase locking. And he said, oh, we know that's not the case. I said, how do we know? He said, we've solved the problem. And I said, well, how? He said, well, we fixed the speed of light by definition in 1972. So I said, but it might still change. He said, yes, but we'd never know it because we defined the meter in terms of the speed of light. So the units had changed with it. So he looked very pleased about that. They'd fixed that problem. But I said, well, then what about big G, the gravitational constant known in the trade as big G? It's written with a capital G, Newton's universal gravitational constant. That's varied by more than 1.3% in recent years. And it seems to vary from place to place and from time to time. And he said, oh, well, those are just errors. And unfortunately, there are quite big errors with big G. So I said, well, what if it's really changing? I mean, perhaps it is really changing. And then I looked at how they do it. What happens is they measure it in different labs. They get different values on different days, and then they average them. And then other labs around the world do the same, and they come out usually with a rather different average. And then the International Committee on Metrology meets every 10 years or so and average the ones from labs around the world to come up with the value of big G. But what if G were actually fluctuating? What if it changed? There's already evidence, actually, that it changes throughout the day and throughout the year. What if the Earth, as it moves through the galactic environment, went through patches of dark matter or other environmental factors that could alter it? Maybe they all change together. What if these errors are going up together and down together? For more than 10 years, I've been trying to persuade metrologists to look at the raw data. In fact, I'm now trying to persuade them to put it online on the internet with the dates and the actual measurements and see if they're correlated, to see if they're all up at one time, all down at another. If so, they might be fluctuating.
That's what we be trying to find on these waters, some correlation.
Together, and that would tell us something very, very interesting. But no one has done this. They haven't done it because G is a constant. There's no point looking for changes. You see, here's a very simple example of where a dogmatic assumption actually inhibits inquiry. I myself think that the constants may vary quite considerably, well, within narrow limits, but they may all be varying. And I think the day will come when scientific journals like Nature have a weekly report on the constants, like stock market reports in newspapers. You know, this week, big G was slightly up, the charge on the electron was down, the speed of light held steady, and so on. That's one area, just one area where I think thinking less dogmatically could open things up. One of the biggest areas is the nature of the mind. This is the most unsolved problem that science simply can't deal with the fact we're conscious. And it can't deal with the fact that our thoughts don't seem to be inside our brains. Our experiences don't all seem to be inside our brain. Your image of me now doesn't seem to be inside your brain, yet the official view is there's a little Rupert somewhere inside your head, and everything else in this room is inside your head. Your experience is inside your brain. I'm suggesting, actually, that vision involves an outward projection of images. What you're seeing is in your mind, but not inside your head. Our minds are extended beyond our brains in the simplest act of perception. I think that we project out the images we're seeing, and these images touch what we're looking at. If I look at you from behind, you don't know I'm there. Could I affect you? Could you feel my gaze? There's a great deal of evidence that people can. The sense of being stared at is an extremely common experience, and recent experimental research suggests it's real.
Somebody made a song about it. I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Animals seem to have it too. I think it probably evolved in the context of predator-prey relationships. Prey animals that could feel the gaze of a predator would survive better than those that couldn't. This would lead to a whole new way of thinking about ecological relationships between predators and prey, also about the extent of our minds. If we look at distant stars, I think our minds reach out in a sense to touch those stars and literally extend out over astronomical distances. They're not just inside our heads. Now, it may seem astonishing that this is a topic of debate in the 21st century. We know so little about our own minds that where our images are is a hot topic of debate within consciousness studies right now. I don't have time to deal with any more of these dogmas, but every single one of them is questionable. If one questions it, new forms of research, new possibilities open up. And I think as we question these dogmas that have held back science so long, science will undergo a reflowering, a renaissance. I'm a total believer in the importance of science. I've spent my whole life as a research scientist, my whole career. But I think by moving beyond these dogmas, it can be regenerated. Once again, it can become interesting and, I hope, life-affirming. It'll crystallize a bit easier. The third...
Sounds like science does need a new flowering, reflowering, or however you put it, because they can't even get their numbers straight. Speaking of research,
Stop using ChatGPT! I gave you Turbo AI to actually have you learn something. Do you hear me? I can't do this anymore!
I know professors are going crazy nowadays. I wonder if this is true or not, because all they gotta do is just say, hey, type me a 3-page paper.
What's funny, when we actually use real science, we know that flames don't cast a shadow. They don't. But when we look at all the SpaceX launches and these NASA launches, the shadow of these rockets from the sun always shows the flame at the bottom. So it's like the graphics department, because it's not real at SpaceX and NASA, forgets this. And they're too sloppy, just like their blue marble and all this stuff. That's why you'll always see a shadow just like this in these launches, even though flames don't cast a shadow. So who wants to explain this? Any of the, globe heads and the NASA worshippers and the SpaceX worshippers? Why does this happen?
For entertainment purposes only, do your own research on everything. Is this the consequences of the last reset?
Chicago Theater. Yeah. So you mean to tell me that this advanced, look at this, look at the detail. This was made before we had technology, before modern times, with a chisel and whatever other tool they used to use. I don't know. Do this look like chisel work to y'all? I don't know. Y'all come talk to me. Chicago Theater.
Kinda does look like a Joker's up at the top. Maybe this was a theater in the past life, but how it was made remains a mystery. That's all we got for today's video. If you made it this far, the code word is snow. Drop snow in the comments below. When you do that, that lets me know you're a real one. You made it all the way through the video and you really rock with your boy. Yeah, it's snowing a little bit where I'm at, so hey, I love it though. I think it's romantic. But that's all we have for today's video. Until next time, this was the most mysterious TikToks on the internet today. See you later.